All systems nominal.
それでは早速連続前進
You wanna know what the weak point of a mech is? The fucking pilot.
Get away from her, you bitch!
His papers say he was a raven.
Protocol 3.
A pattern blue!
Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, a giant robot power hour discussing mechs across media, their stories, and why we love them. I'm Alice, and I'm joined by Brian.
Justice for all children?
And Nico.
When the revolution comes, figureheads of the monarchy will be the first against the wall.
This time around, we're discussing a slice of life anime about cute girls suffering from cute little PTSD, Egao no Daika, or The Price of Smiles. Let's launch into it. So today we're talking about The Price of Smiles. So The Price of Smiles was made in 2019 by Tatsunoko Production. The reason I brought this to the table is because this is what I think is a penultimate example of modern mechs in anime, and it's kind of one of the more recent ones we've done. Tatsunoko Production, you might know that they did some animation on Neon Genesis Evangelion. They are behind Gatchaman and the Gatchaman Crowd series. They're also behind Wake Up Girls, which is a popular little idol anime girl. And they've done a shitload of OVAs. That's like one of their bread and butters. They don't really do too many like original works. They are going to be the production company behind Pole Princess, which is coming out this fall, which is about cute girls doing pole dancing.
I'm glad that they've figured out the 3D animation needed to really... I'm going to need the depth of field. I'm going to need to feel the velocity of the pole dancing. And so I feel like we have a good, like, what is that? Like a vertical slice, kind of a proof of concept here in the mechs.
Exactly. So this is 12 episodes, 23 minutes each. So it's your general core of anime. This is not part of any franchise. There's no other media in this universe. This was an original production and original screenplay. So this is it. 12 episodes of this. Who knows if we'll get a second season or any more. The director of this was Toshimashi Suzuki, who, most relevant to this podcast, was the director of Heroic Age, which is also a mech media. And the other writer and director was Shinichi Inotsume, who did series composition on JoJo, so writing composition on a lot of JoJo series, as well as on Gleipnir, which is also a mech media.
I hate that the only anime that you've named for like the last however many minutes that I've recognized is JoJo. I don't know jack shit about anything.
You don't know,
but especially not modern
the Wake
mech.
Up Girls series?
No.
So, Brian and Nico, what did you know about Price of Smiles before you watched it?
Jack shit. I had never heard of this in my life. I have a dark secret that I have to share on the pod, which is that I am selectively blind from most iterations of modern or contemporary mech media because the use of CGI in an otherwise 2D format makes my eyes bleed and makes me want to take them out of my head and eat them and then go to bed. So
I'm glad you're getting sleep in on that.
Damn. I'm built different. I'm built different because I watched Martian Successor Nadesco young, and so I was inoculated by the absolutely dog shit use of CGI in that show.
And like, to be fair, there have been like, I make that as a blanket statement, like the CGI in like Rebuild of Evangelion is tolerable. This actually I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I do not think this was really that bad.
Agree. Yeah.
Because there's some dog shit CGI out there, folks. And this is actually, I don't think, really one of them. Some of the environments and some of the shots, maybe, but...
Yeah.
The budget shows sometimes is how I like to describe it.
They were really smart. We'll get into this later, but they were really smart to use that karst backdrop for the first actual battle. I think that did a lot of favors in carrying the action forward and not looking bad.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about this either, but from the name, I assumed that this was like Aim for the Top because it was a phrase. For some reason, I assumed that this was an anime from like 1999. And so when that bug-eyed, modern, pug-style anime girl showed up, no nose, big old wet eyes sliding off the side of her face, I was like, oh no, oh god, we're in a darker era.
Honestly, the selective breeding of our anime girls needs
We're
to be
in a modern
stopped.
moment with these. It's the winter of the contemporary mech moment, because the next thing we're going to cover is also pretty new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got some
And
oldie
also
goldies.
use a CGI, to be clear, so that I don't sound like a total hypocrite. And again, but although that movie is like Spider-Man in that it's like so stylized that the CGI is kind of, it's not CGI on 2D, it's like a bunch of different styles crammed together. Mm-hmm. So
What are we recording next?
I don't know.
Promare.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh shit, okay. But yeah, we need to stop inbreeding our anime girls. They can't breathe. Yeah, so the summary?
Yeah, so I'm just going to use the exact summary that came when they were announcing this that really got hype people up. They put out a lot of good art with this, and this is what they described this show as. So, on a planet far from Earth, there is a kingdom full of smiling faces. Princess Yuki is 12 years old and about to enter a sensitive age in a person's life. Every day she cries, laughs, and sometimes her heart throbs with excitement. All the while she lives merrily in the royal palace, filling her days with color are her loyal vassals, her tutor Ryra, Izana, who assists in political affairs, and the leader of the House of Chivalry Herald, and then there is her childhood friend and aide, Joshua. 17-year-old Stella is a brilliant warrior. Even though she is as cool as a cucumber, she never fails to smile. That's because smiling is essential to life. This is a story about two girls in a distant planet. And so that's how they promoted this show.
That's Yuri bait.
That's Yuri bait.
Well, this is Yuri.
Well, I hate it because she's fucking 12, but okay.
Oh, I wasn't even talking about Yuki and Stella. I was talking about the other two, Stella and the other one.
Oh yeah, no, we gotta talk about the real girls.
Stella and Lily, the biggest
Yeah.
Yuri in this. Okay, we'll get into
It's important.
it.
She's important.
She's so
and we'll get
important
into
to
it
me.
after this break.
Hey, Nico here in the break. Just wanted to let you know that while this is a podcast, and we'll always do our best to describe visuals we're commenting on, we'll also include links to the mechs and images we discuss in the show notes, and post actual photos on our show website. Along with that, make sure to check the show notes for content warnings as appropriate to the episode. That's all for now. Back to the show.
Oh, we're sharing screen?
I'm sharing screen, so I'm gonna go just to follow along with this, so we can kind of keep the beats of the episode. Was my idea.
This is a list of just every frame in the episode.
It's like every 20th frame.
Okay.
This is how I watched the show as well. I need to reveal my dark secret, which was at a certain point I started watching this show at 2 times speed.
That's so horrific. I don't get it. Folks, I'm not with her on this.
My brain hurts.
I don't associate with that.
We do not. That is not a stance of the podcast. That is not a stance of the pod.
Listen, in a previous episode, I made Alice make a bold statement about whaling. I will come forward. I listen to audiobooks at 1.25 speed. If the narrator has a low enough and slow enough pace, I will listen at 1.5. When the end comes, we will all have to account for our time on this precious earth, and I want to say that I only spent half of what I needed to on Price of Smiles.
Do you even like doing this show? Do you even like this podcast?
Show, and you know what? I enjoyed this anime. Now, can I ever listen to a version of the opening or endings that isn't Nightcore? No, but...
So episode 1 is titled The Girl from Soleil. We come in onto a weird castle garden thing in the middle of Niagara Falls where we meet Yuki. Yuki is a magical girl? I don't know how good to describe her. She dresses as if she's about to be in magical girl combat, complete with twin tails.
Yuki is a figurine that someone gave life in a dark ritual. She was born to be on someone's shelf, and the fact that she is a living monarch is beyond explanation.
I have to get out in front of this and just say, flat out, the Kingdom of Soleil has the worst fucking outfits of any fucking thing I've ever seen in my goddamn life. They're so hideous. The colors are
hard stance.
The colors are awful. Yuki's outfit is awful. She looks like she's wearing bloomers and a giant ship wing attached to the back of her fucking pants. It's nothing.
Brian.
These outfits are nothing.
Brian, what problem do you have with red, white, and blue?
Oh, sorry. Did you mean maroon, navy blue, bright orange, white, and gold?
No,
it's nothing. It's nothing.
I do like the cunty little bustier that Izana wears, but
Oh, okay.
I will
Hold
say
on.
there is
Layla's outfit absolutely rips also.
there's one
She has a
outfit in
great
this
outfit.
yeah.
that I think is worse than the Salil outfits, and we'll get to it. And I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so Yuki is with Joshua, who is their childhood friend, and they are talking about, how the world is full of smiles and shit like that. And then she goes to a literal concert for the monarchy where she's presenting for her 12th birthday that she is now taking authority. She does a little front forward flip to the stand, and
She
it's
does a Willy
this
Wonka.
is
She does a full Willy Wonka.
She does a Willy Wonka. I hate this. Hey guys, I really didn't expect Timothée Chalamet to come out for this role, but I think he gave it his all.
So she gives a speech about how she wants to protect everybody's smile. It's a little heavy-handed. And we see the full palace. It's just
Thesis statement.
it's a thesis statement. And then we go into the intro where we see the capital of the Kingdom of Soleil, which is a very lush and vibrant, futuristic town. We then see
It's the JPEG that everyone uses when they want to talk about solar punk or what the world could be like if no one ever invented Twitter. That's what this place is.
We then see a bunch of people coming and giving Yuki tribute because it's her birthday and you give monarchs gifts. She's then very exhausted from this fact that she had to take a bunch of gifts. So she decides to sneak out of the Capitol building, which is where we find out that her parents died in an accident that surely won't come up later in this series.
It was Third Impact. Anyway.
They got turned into Jell-O.
So Joshua and Yuki are sneaking around town, as one often does, and they go to an arcade because you'll never guess this, but the Kingdom Soleil might be a metaphor for Japan. Stop me if I'm ahead of yourself here. And so they go into a little game system, a little VR game system that mimics
The orb.
piloting a mecha.
Yeah, this is when we first see our mecha.
Yeah, so you have a unit selection and you see the three main types of mecha that the Kingdom of Soleil utilizes, which we can get into at some point. I didn't know if you wanted to do that now or we can circle back.
Well, we might as well talk about him because we're going to be seeing him intercut with all the other fucking shenanigans in this show.
Yeah, so they have three types. The main type is the guard type, which has a shield and a gun with a sword on it.
Gun sword. Classic gun sword.
Classic gun sword.
It's like an LMG with a fucking Buster Sword bayonet. I actually really like this weapon. It's dope looking.
I do like a lot of the weapons that I've seen.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have the Squire, which is kind of a heavier mech and more of a functional mech. So not, a full knight mech, but, the common everyman mech. And then you have the Kilbanov, which is a long-range artillery mech. And so these are the three mech types that the Kingdom of Soleil utilizes. Something that we come across in this show is that there's not a lot of variety. And one of the reasons Alice likes this show is almost every mech in it is just a normal little guy, a mass production type.
Outside of VR, they're khaki.
I want to push back on all of this just a little bit. One thing we've left out is that all the mechs have hover skirts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Every mech hovers in this.
Yeah, and
Every single one.
And the Soleil mechs have these hover skirts that there's a whole metaphysical rule about how they can only go to a certain altitude, and they're powered by a thing.
I'm just glad we're finally back to world building on par with Hard Reboot. Finally, the sci-fi world building.
I don't know. You guys are off the bat making lots of ludicrous statements to me. I'm not sure we watched the same thing.
Well, I know we didn't because I didn't see as many frames.
So all of the mechs are powered by chars, which are the do you call it a MacGuffin? An unobtainium.
It's uranium.
It's coral.
So they're powered by chars. and every mech floats. The main combat style is a floating active combat. Most of these mechs aren't built with heavy armor. It's very flash in the pan kind of fighting. So they jump in and they decide that they're going to play in this sim. Joshua takes the reins and suddenly mysterious people arrive and jump in the other cockpit. So while he's busting up on normies, suddenly he loses. And who is it? But Harold.
Caught smurfing by the DILF.
This dope. There is a yaoi hiding in this Yuri.
Yeah, the other guy, so there's Harold and there's another guy, and the other guy, I don't know his name. I don't know if I ever heard his name. I just
Is
call
it Hime Cut guy?
It's Hime Cut guy. I was just going to say that I call him Very Beautiful Man in all my notes.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
Very Beautiful Man. His name is Izana.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love
Izana.
him.
That's
And
Izana.
yes, he and Harold are in
They're
a
so fucking
poly
married.
relationship with Harold's wife. Or no,
Yeah.
the other guy's wife.
With Izana's wife, yeah.
Yeah.
We also meet the twins, who are Angry Twin and Mad Twin. You'll never guess which one is the woman.
I'm saluting because I have nothing but respect for Uni Vanquish's anti-monarchist stance.
Okay, but
Or her
no, that's not
initial
even okay.
anti-monarch.
Hold on, we have to get to this scene. I have so many comments about that scene in particular, but we have to get there.
So they pick him up and they're like, oh, you shouldn't be out of the castle. Haha, teehee, the princess escaped from the castle. We then go into the audience chamber where the monarch is addressing her council and they're talking about how they are sending a delegation to the Grandiga Empire, who is the other major power in this world, and that they're sending a delegation there for negotiations out to the border. Yuki is vibing with it pretty good.
This is where we actually see Uni, which, by the way, okay, Uni Vanquish, banger name.
Banger.
Banger fucking name. No notes. She attempts a Satsuki Kiryuin here, and I think
Yeah.
it whiffs really, 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 really bad.
Because she gets fucking owned by a 12-year-old.
She gets fucking owned by... Well, so I watched this scene like 12 times because I don't know what to fucking do with it. It's like, at first it seems like, oh, she's clearly going to be a villain. Oh, she's clearly just testing her. And then at the end, it turns out she was just testing her. She actually adores the fuck out of her, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is what this starts a weird relationship that Yuki has with all of her fucking subjects, which is she actually has no authority. They all constantly manipulate and lie to her. This is so weird.
She both has authority and doesn't have authority. It gets weirder, but like...
Yeah, literally everyone in this room has power, and she is still the center of attention and has no power in all of these people. But yeah, Uni comes up and makes some offhanded comments about the monarchy. Yuki slaps back, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, she can stand up for herself, which becomes a running theme in the show of, oh, so she can stand up for herself.
Yeah, everyone is here to advance her plot line, and I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. But also, this is what liberals think happened when they clap back on Twitter.
Exactly. The other thing I really want to color this scene with, because there's like a layer going on here that doesn't really reveal itself until way later in the story that I just think is really important. Uni's comments are, you know, Princess, I don't think you should have anything to do with these negotiations with Grandiga. I think you should let us do it because you're just a 12-year-old and the monarchy was a mistake made by people long ago.
100% queen.
Preach.
What is underneath, yeah, I mean, sure. But what is underneath this is the fact that in the first place, this is not going to be a negotiation. They are already at war. This entire conversation is already a lie in a different way. This is just so, I like it. It's thought provoking, but it's also like so such an object that I don't know how to get my hands around at all.
My biggest problem with it is it could have a good arc with her and Yuki, but she immediately turns tail and is like, oh, I'm so sad that I had to do that to the princess. Like, there's no, like, like, it could have been a lie with a hint of truth, right? Like, she could be, like, the person who's testing the princess consistently, but instead it's this scene.
I really think that it's not that deep, and she's just here to be a mouthpiece for the inevitable argument that's going to come up in anyone's mind about why there's a 12-year-old monarchist figurehead when there's actual shit happening in the show. They had to have somebody say the thing so then the 12-year-old could be cute, and we could all go, listen, we don't have to think that hard about it anymore. Somebody said it. It's been said. It's on the record.
I don't.
Let's enjoy our girls. I feel like that's what it was.
I guess I just cannot engage that way. That doesn't make any sense to me. What I mean is, like, So, like, aside from the weird political imaginary here, which, again, is just, like, super, like, as long as you're sassy about it and just grandstand a lot, good things happen, which appears to be Soleil's whole thing. That's another thing I don't really get. But what I mean is, like, what I really get down to when I watched this again for the 10th time,
Pog.
the tone is all over the place.
Pog face.
I'm so glad that there was no actual time lost for The Price of Smiles. Every second that I saved, Brian spent. So, God bless you.
I mean,
you were out here getting ready for your thesis. I love that.
I was watching something to report a podcast about. I don't know about you.
But yeah, she literally runs down to this woman and like addresses her, and she's like, "Oh, I kneel for a queen." And it's really, yeah.
Her whole argument boils down to, listen, I don't need to know about politics. I just need to protect the beautiful smiles of the world. And it's like, okay.
And for some reason she passes. And for some reason everyone's like, oh, great answer. It's like, oh, okay, sure. I guess that's what I get down to, is the artifice of the fact that like they're testing her is meaningless because none of this conversation actually matters because it's foregrounded by a thing that's not happening, you know? Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, we're going to go and we're going to take Joshua because he's technically part of the Knights. And she's like, oh, that's fine. It's just a delegation. Then we go and we see Izuma?
Izana.
Who's sitting alone in an office, and Harold is talking to him, and they're discussing
They're having a drink?
They're having a drink and discussing things, including the reason Yuki's parents are dead, which is a cataclysmic event that happened that blew up the production of the new Shars. So there's the Shars and then the new Shars. There are two types, right? Mm-hmm. We see some little like, oh, this is what a Shar looks like, and they kind of give you that piece of world building because it's I don't know.
It's uranium. It's just uranium.
Also, is it Shars or is it Krars? Because in the show, I think they say Krars. Chrars.
How would you pronounce that, though?
The way I just did. Krars. Because it's Chrars.
Yeah, I was seeing it as Krars.
1-800-4KRARS-4KIDS?
Yeah.
Now, this is not me saying that the word is good, because I think Krars is kind of a dumb word, and it's awkward.
Fucking awful. It's fucking awful.
But I think that is the word. Because Shar Aznavour is the fuel of this planet, and he's never betrayed anyone.
There's a specter haunting the kingdom of Solo, and it's Shar Aznavour. Oh my god. I can't get over the fact that they're just straight up having a whiskey. His collarbones are out.
They're drinking a whiskey, they're talking, because they know things that Yuki doesn't. They have a good reason to have a drink right now.
Beautiful, serious man is beautiful and serious, and I'm kind of obsessed with him.
I was like, I know it's one of the two, but I was like, it's 50-50 whether it's Harold, because he kind of looks like the professor from Pokemon Dilf, and or whether it's Hime Cut.
I thought it was going to be Gale from the other side.
Oh, no, it is. Sorry. If you're thinking about the one I was going to be annoying about, we have not met him yet. Don't you worry your head at all.
Oh, thank God. Because we haven't gotten to the one I'm going to be annoying about. You'll never guess which one. So we have a little conversation outside with everybody in front of the coolest land carrier. So everything here floats.
What we didn't say before. Yeah, yes. Everything kind of floats, but that's because nothing can fly. So there's like a gravity threshold that if you hit it, which they, later they will try to do, you basically just get knocked right back down to the ground. It seems like there's either an increased gravity or some kind of gravity field. So everything is ground-based, but that doesn't mean they can't hover a few inches off of it to be cool.
So they use land carriers, which I don't know how best to describe this other than that is the most Japanese battleship design I've ever seen in my life. Like, I would expect this.
It's a big red chunky. It's chunky.
It's a sneaker.
It's a sneaker.
With guns on it.
They got the Jordans.
They got them Jordans.
And they're scooting around like they're air hockey pucks. I love it. No notes.
It's really good.
We then have a scene between Yuki and Layla.
Yes, new fucked up version of chess just dropped.
New fucked up chess.
Long chess.
What is this?
I have long chess and huge caps in my notes. It's like thin, long chess.
It looks a little bit like Chinese chess, like real Chinese chess, not Chinese checkers. But also, it's so long. But it has like the diagonal lines and the squares of Chinese chess. And then, but it looks like the pieces hover too. Yep. How much hover technology do we need?
This is how you know this is a dream, because the totems haven't fallen.
Damn it.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, it's basically a conversation with Yuki's female mentor, super serious, sexy lady with the tits. Can we talk about the tits? Vacuum sealed in there.
The tits and exposed back.
Hey, I will not hear a word against Layla. Her tits are that big because she stores trauma in them, okay?
Okay, you know what? No, you're right. I was being...
She has the darkest backstory of fucking anyone.
That's why Yuki doesn't have tits
I
yet?
was being a misogynist. This is my notes app apology.
Your amount of
no
trauma is how big your pecs or tits are in the
Yes,
series, and that's so true. So true, bestie.
That holds true for Harold. It's a line. Anyway, they have a chess scene.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's about, hey, you need to be a monarch. Very offhanded.
You need
we
to
then
be
go
thinking
to
logically.
Joshua and the twins are having a little scrap fight because Joshua is trying to prove that he's ready to serve in the Knights full time and not just guard the princess.
Yuki's honor was besmirched by Uni questioning the utility of the monarchy.
He really white knights for this woman.
So we gotta get in there. We gotta play Gundam Evolution to restore the princess. I'm kidding. It's more like BattleTech. There's multiple units, but...
They go into a simulation with simulated cockpits and everything.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe this.
It's the orb room with the battle room.
It's the orb battle room. My favorite thing about this is that they're like, hey, what map should we load into? And they're like, oh, what's this, Tokyo? And they load into Tokyo, and immediately Yuki's like, this shit is so fucking ugly. What are we doing?
She's like, this doesn't look like a solar punk JPEG.
Literally, they go to 2028, Japan, Tokyo. They talk about how this was on Earth, their former planet. And they literally showed it just show up in Shinjuku. We see our first experience of the cockpits that you'll see in the series. So the Soleil cockpits have RGB lighting. You wear a glowing RGB suit.
Their suits glow. They're
with
dope.
shoulder pads, it looks like. And then you drive like with like hand piston fist things, like real old school mech design for it.
Yeah.
They also have pedals, like car pedals, like gas pedals at their feet.
And we gotta say it, no seatbelts.
No seatbelts.
At all.
Look, these cockpits look like the interior of the car from the fucking corpo beginning of Cyberpunk. Like, they are so future car TM,
they are
TM,
on some
TM,
Tron
TM.
shit.
So we load in. They're playing a simulation game. So literally the mechs in the simulation turn into a red and a blue team mechs, which is, I think that's pretty cool. And they choose their composition of units that they're commanding in this AI squad. It's basically a capture the flag in Shinjuku. This is where we start to see how the mech combat works. So it really uses this as a chance to give a no stakes, this is how mechs in this thing work.
Mm-hmm.
This was smart.
So every mech floats. They are about 5 stories tall. We get a metaphor, we really get, Brian, you talk about sense of scale. They give us a whole little segment showing us modern sense of scale to show you what you're going to see later.
That's a good point, because against the karst rock that we see later, there's really no way for us to know how big things are except in relation to other fantasy objects. That's a really good point.
There are a couple of really good scenes that play with it. There's a scene with Lily really late in the run of these episodes that's super good.
Mm-hmm.
But generally they're I would consider them firmly at the midpoint of canon mech genre scale. They're about the size of the mechs from Gunbuster.
Mm-hmm.
And the advantage they have is that they are constantly floating. They don't actually ever touch the ground, which produces a scene that gave me emotional whiplash. There's a scene where Joshua is trying to take cover from, what's her name, Uni?
Yeah.
And he goes to the top of a building, and in any other mech franchise, he would just go into the crash through the roof of the building and fall down and hide in the building. But he has to shoot through the roof of the building first because his mech doesn't weigh anything because it's floating. And at first I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But then when I realized how these mechs work, I was like, actually, that's a really fun detail.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I do love that because it's just sensing where the ground is below it. So by destroying the ground, it drops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some adjustments made, and we get kind of
Yuki is very fixated on the fact that this isn't fair.
This isn't fair.
Joshua is against Uni and her brother, whose name I don't remember because I don't respect him.
Rune.
Hey!
Uni and Rune.
He's fine, but he didn't step up and at least try to antagonize this woman, or this child, rather.
Rude.
No, so Yuki is really pissed because both siblings are going after Joshua. She's like, I should get in there.
Yeah.
This is one of the coolest things. This is the only good Soleil mech, in my opinion.
This one, double sword one, or just this whole...
No, the one that Yuki, seizes, the long range one that, extends its neck up so that it can,
Yes.
have
yeah.
a longer range. It's so dope. And then that gun is sick. It's just it's like a Tallgeese gun from Gundam Wing. It's like this long thump boy.
I will say one note we haven't really talked about with these mechs is there's a very clear design influence, even when they're painted different colors, of Western style suits of armor on them.
Oh yes,
I think there's an interesting aesthetic sensibility to stuff around Soleil, which is a merger of, like I said, solar punk JPEGs, but also kind of Western fantasy, European fantasy.
For sure. I mean,
elements.
they call themselves the Kingdom versus the Empire.
Yeah, exactly. But I wanted to say, it's that's literalized in the mechs. There's an armor aesthetic to it, which is neat.
Well, and it's also the mechs are Knight, Squire, long Russian name. You're oh, this is what we're doing.
My favorite parts of medieval fantasy, the Russians, the long Russians.
A good old long Russian. So we get our first look at Yuki trying to assert her knowledge and what she brings to the table, because she's the only one who thinks to look at a building plan and have Joshua set bombs underneath the enemy's flag to blow up the building and knock it over. Apparently only a 12-year-old could have figured that out.
I thought that was their flag. I thought she sacrificed their flag and buried it so the other team couldn't get it while they made an offensive.
That's what it was.
Yeah, because I was hey, if it wasn't a flag, if it was, say, maybe you don't bury...
Yeah, no,
it's very much, this is a game, right?
Yeah, but also this is the first of what I wish there were more of, and maybe there'll be more of in the next run of episodes, but I like to call this Yuki's Lelouch moment, where she abruptly has an incredibly smart battle strategy that makes me fucking get chills every time. She has her moments. I really like Yuki a lot.
Yeah.
I think a lot when I look at Yuki that when I was 12, I was in the playground on all fours pretending to be a wolf from Wolf's Rain. And she...
I need you to cut that as a drop and then put in 30 seconds of the really cringiest parts of Wolf's Rain.
You know what's cringiest? I never watched Wolf's Rain. That was my depressed friend's anime. I just pretended to be wolves with her.
I love Wolf's Rain. I will never
probably
apologize. Gay. That was... what? What?
Okay, so they do a thing.
Joshua ends up winning the fight. Everybody is very surprised and wow, he did it. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, pog face.
Look, both dads and the mom.
The two dads and their... anyway.
Yeah.
So we end the episode with them sending Joshua's earned the right to go with them and leaves Yuki and says that he'll be back.
On the diplomacy mission. Gives Yuki a little trinket, little sunflower lion as a I'll be back and happy birthday. Little cute moment. It was what he was trying to win for her when he first got in the mech battle capsule and then failed.
She bullies the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
This is another Gundam Wing resonance of when he leaves her the teddy bear with the note at the end and she rips it up in front of him. This is the same moment where she just throws back the fucking animal and is stop trying to be cool. I love Joshua getting bullied. It's my favorite.
And we end the episode with they fully pull back the curtain now that they're without Yuki and they're on the battle carrier. They talk about how they're heading to the front and that the war...
This is a hot war.
This war, there's no diplomacy. The war has been hot and the Empire has already attacked. There is no negotiation to be had. This is active war.
Can I point out something that's going to be useful to us later?
Yeah.
There's an important character design element of Joshua that I didn't realize until it was too late.
What's that?
Where's that braid/ponytail?
He's got the dead mom ponytail.
I looked at him later and was it was right there.
I don't know what you're talking about. What is a mom braid?
So
are you joking or?
Yeah, is that a real joke?
No, what the fuck?
Okay. So there's a trope that mom characters in anime will have a braid that goes over.
Please Google FMA.
Will go over their shoulder.
Oh, sorry. The one example. That's totally a trope. You're so right.
No, it happened more. That's just what people point to as like a good example. But generally, if you have the over the shoulder braid, you have a higher chance of dying as an anime character. Usually, if you're a mom.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's kind of a running trope.
He is a mom. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, hold on. I'm sending a very important document.
I'm waiting.
This is a pile of bodies.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I know who hardly any of these people are.
I just Googled dead mom ponytail anime.
I know the first two. And I think that's it.
I hate how many of these I can point to.
I know the first two.
I've watched too much.
There's so many.
Watched too much anime,
is
guys.
Is that the one from Totoro, actually?
Well, she doesn't die, but it's imperiled mom ponytail. There you go.
Okay, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
We go to episode 2, The Truth of the War. We start with a flashback sequence of Joshua's father fighting with Howard, a very young Howard.
You mean Harold?
Harold? Very young Harold.
White dude, H name?
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard. Because Joshua's dad was the former leader of the Knights. He's there as a kid and seeing his dad looking all cool. Unfortunately, his dad was in the thermonuclear explosion of the new Krars.
Big Chernobyl. Krars Noble.
Yeah.
And we see a scene where he's crying and very sad over his dad's death. Get over it.
But his two new gay dads show up.
His two new gay
They
dads.
legitimately, he was raised by Izana and Harold. I'm just like, you literally started co-parenting this war orphan.
You want to talk about stupid outfits? This. Look at his morning outfit.
It's his grief jumpsuit.
That's the
with
grief
tassels.
jumpsuit. Are those the Chanel grief jumpsuit boots? Damn.
New this season. Joshua is introduced to baby Yuki, who he has met after the explosion as well, and she takes a liking to him. Izana is like, oh, she seems to like you. You should spend more time with her, as kind of like, I don't know what to do with this orphan kid now that his dad's dead. He has no other family. Take care of the princess. Her parents are also dead. You're both orphans.
You have so much in common.
Orphans are a theme.
Whoa.
So we then go to a scene which is our first, oh shit, there's war happening.
Hot war.
And we see some pretty cool scenes of how the carriers work.
These are dope.
Which basically they open up to the sides, they hang and drop out and start floating. It's kind of like an airborne carrier kind of vibe. Really cool. And they are going out to fight, and
they head out to the big empty field where we do our war.
Everywhere is an empty field, we do our war. But, you know, they kind of show how, you know, battleships in the back, then our Russian mechs with the long range.
Of course you love these motherfuckers. They're khaki with pink accents. It's like they were made for you.
I love them.
We're about to see the ones that I like, which are all of the other ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We then see our troop transports, which also hover. And for some reason, they're deploying troop transports in a mech fight.
This is so cute. They are literally just tiny carriers. I am obsessed with them.
Never talk to me or my son again.
Yeah.
And then we see our first images of the Grandiga Empire, including their carriers, which are I'm in love with.
Oh, Grandiga is cyberpunk.
These are Pegasus carriers from Gundam.
Yeah, that's why I love them. It's
so
basically
good.
two long carrier segments with an H-beam in between and a couple of cockpits. They deploy much more like Beechcraft, where they just open in front and you fly out. And we also finally see the Empire mechs for the first time. So let's go over the Empire mechs
War
real quick.
colors, but they got teal RGB.
And also they're like little hover instruments or like insectoid like bars that come out of it. It's so cool. I love these.
I do actually really like the mech design in this.
Grandiga has the top-notch, every single aesthetic point that Grandiga has to offer is by far some of the best shit I've seen in such a long time. Everything they do looks so good.
So our first mech, the Kra 1 with a German umlaut, which is, I mean, it's a chunkier green boy. It has fins kind of inset in it, kind of a round core, more chunky in the shoulder blades, much more Western, you know, military influenced.
Oh, you think so?
I think more Western military influenced than the Salil mechs, personally.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. Like these are very Metal Gear. I totally get what you mean.
Yeah. We also have the Krahi 2, which is just kind of an upgraded version with thicker armor, shoulder cannons, and heavier weapons, which is kind of like the specialist one. And that's it. They have 2 kinds of mechs.
Yep.
They both fuck.
They both fuck. I love them so much.
I just noticed this about these mechs. They have the same kind of offset shoulder palisades that the fucking officer uniforms have. I am obsessed with this.
Yep.
Yeah. There's good design behind this.
There's good design.
They let the art team cook.
Yeah.
And we see them preparing to enter battle in our battle plane. So since everything has to hover at a certain distance and you can't get higher than anything, the geography plays very big in this because you can't just jump on top of a mountain. You got to go around it. And apparently this entire continent is just, what do you call it, plateaus? What is this kind of...
It kind of seems like it. I do like the effect that this world building has. Oh, sorry, Bride, you want to talk about the terrain?
Oh, that was it. This terrain is called a karst. They're very thin, tall rock formations.
But
Thank
the
you.
world building details have created war before World War I. Because you can't have air superiority and artillery seems limited by like how you can arc it. Because I assume artillery shells are also subject to kind of the gravity threshold. You have to do the we meet on an empty plane and beat the shit out of each other. Like I made a note and then I forgot to mention it during the simulation. There's a ton of knife fighting for mechs. Like there's a ton of close range
CQC
fist to fist. Later, we are going to be seeing straight up beating the shit out of each other with our fists mech fighting. Like, it's way more classic engagement on an open field, you and your pikeman shit.
Scrappy.
Due to the world building details, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Bro, I agree.
Then we get the intro, which spoils the entire show, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah, skip the intro. Heads up, if you're ever going to watch this, skip the intro because it spoils a lot of things.
I genuinely feel I had a much better experience with the show because I did watch the intro like in episode 5, and I was like, wow, I would have been really like a lot of things would have affected me a lot less in a less interesting way if I had watched this.
We then cut to Yuki, who hasn't gotten a message from Joshua after the intro. And it's very sad that Joshua hasn't responded from their diplomatic mission, to which Layla lies to her face and says he's probably fine. So
he's probably having tea.
I'm really obsessed how they are hiding a hot war from the princess. Like, because at one point they have to ask her for permission to do something. So she both has power and doesn't have power in this show. I just want to know who is signing the defense budget checks. I assume it's Izana, but like, what is happening?
These people suck. All of these lies are so incompetently told and covered up. And
Harold is so bought into it. It's so funny. I wrote down, here's a quote. He's like, Yuki is a symbol of peace for our kingdom and she must never know about the war. Shut the fuck up. If my son went off and died in Mech Vietnam and a 12-year-old was on TV like, tee-hee, everyone do your best, smile forever, I would pull her from her throne and eat her in the street.
Okay. I was just going to say this is toxic positivity, but that's also a way of putting it.
I would feast on her flesh.
This kind of, what I see in this is information and warfare, right? And what a lot of this is an allegory for is a lot of, not modern conflicts, but like World War II era and before that, where...
It really reminded me of the Cold War.
You could have a war in Indochina, and you could be having hot conflict, and a person back home wouldn't know about it because the state media doesn't need you to know because the state media controls everything. We do then have a big blowout fight. We start to see some variations on the mecha. So the Order of the Knights always is kind of in like a goldish tint to their units to show that they're better than the regular plebes.
The regular.
And you also start to see that there are specialists wearing red shoulder pads on the Empire side. That'll come up later.
Yeah, it's worth noting, it's already been mentioned at this point, while Solil is a kingdom, Grandiga is a military dictatorship. So I think
listed
that's
as an empire. They call themselves an empire, but the emperor has no power. And they make that very clear. It's a military dictatorship.
I promise you, in every way, they are a mistress.
Oh, from FMA?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Olivia
a military
Armstrong
kingdom.
is in this show.
God, she's hot. Okay.
God, she's hot. So do we want to talk about this combat and how they, how did you feel about these combat scenes, right? So this is kind of the bread and butter of this show, is the political espionage and high level intercut with these quick and fast hover floating fights where people are knocked out quick. We really don't see mechs exploding. That doesn't happen in this show. You get knocked out, you get destroyed.
They get shot, but they don't get shredded. I think something interesting to think about here is the scene in Pat Labor 2 where we saw the helicopter open up on the Pat Labors in the garage, and we just saw them basically get dissolved by bullets. Just, there was a real, like, detailed quality to how those mechs were destroyed. And in this one, mechs get shot, but like you said, they don't get blown up. Like, there's not really a feeling. I think they made a really good call to have everything floating because a major tell of CG is weightlessness.
Yeah.
So, like, not seeing the figures plant their feet.
That's such a good point, actually. That's such a good point.
And it's both smart in that they've avoided the problem, but also, I mean, the combat's going to feel weightless.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when they come into melee range. Like, you really feel
which
like...
they do so much.
Yeah, melee is a lot here.
I think it's interesting because, like, obviously we can't uninvent CGI, right? Like, we're never going to do that. It's always going to be...
We could try.
With your help.
Well, and like, to be clear, we do get it. Please pay animators. Please use your budget wisely.
Yeah.
Make the art you have to make with the world that we live in.
But yeah,
I also don't have the responsibility to subject myself to it at all times. I just think this is a particularly successful example.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like, it also makes me think of, like, Chainsaw Man with rotoscoping, like that opening sequence. Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah.
And like rotoscoping at one point was a technology that people kind of felt was gauche compared to just hand drawing everything and animating it traditionally. Rotoscoping it as kind of a shortcut. And not that rotoscoping work isn't complicated, but you know, you get the lifelike animation directly from the source, right? But like, I feel like that's what's happening here. The CGI saves you a lot of money on rendering these complex machines in a lot of different poses, configurations, clashes, combats. But the cost is they're going to feel weightless. Unless you really put the time into animating how they fall apart, it's not going to feel like they fall apart.
Yeah.
So the combat was just okay for me. It was fast. It could be really fast, which I think was a redeeming quality of it. And not just because I watched it on 2x speed. I did watch a couple of these episodes on normal speed.
The shape...
She's walking it back.
I'm watching them at mech speed.
The shape of, like, mech kind of combat genre to me that's kind of coming into focus as I think about this more. Like, you're going to have, like, mech objects that are going to focus on the way that they move, like Evangelion. Gundam is so wide that there's lots of Gundams that do that and lots of Gundams that do the other thing, which is what this does, which is really focus in on concept, strategy, implementation, really like important things like collapsing tunnels, like top-down strategy, as opposed to just showing you how cool it looks to, you know, for a big robot with a sword to cut into another big robot with a sword. That being said, I do think the action is all pretty satisfying, all told. There are a couple moments in scenes throughout the whole thing that are like, ugh, but otherwise I think this did a really good job where, like, I have seen mech media that does not, that I could not finish for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Genlock? We'll cover Genlock someday, and we can really talk about...
Oh, God, we are going to have to.
There's one called, like, Gargantula or something like that? I couldn't watch that. I couldn't get through one episode of that.
I know exactly which one, the one on the water ship, right?
There's also one called Valve Rave that I couldn't watch either.
Yeah. So what happens in this episode that I like, and how I kind of like how this series goes, and I mean, we're going to spoil this. I honestly think this is great to go in blind. Watch 3 episodes of the show. If you don't like it, cut it out of your life. But if you like mech anime, I think this is worth going in blind.
Agreed.
And skipping the intro and outro, because as you learn things, it's very fun.
Yeah.
This whole time they're having this fight, and we're just seeing the Kingdom soldiers kind of joking and like, you almost got caught by the enemy, and the enemy robots keep getting shot down and stuff.
Joshua keeps yelling like passion and will.
He's yelling.
Anime boy
I hate his mech battle cry. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so gross.
It's so funny though when they start roasting him. They're like, please stop shouting anime shit over open comms.
We're actually in battle. The twins come and check out up on him on the first fight. There's this cute little scene where they're like, oh, you did it. He blushes. It's cute.
My note, of course, was, no, Uni, don't let the idiot 15-year-old distract you from the righteous cause of revolution.
I am so sad for you. Nico, because I feel like you've projected this whole thing onto Uni that she straight up is just not.
I know. I've accepted. I stand with my cringe fail wife.
She is a girl failure, and we love her for it. So we also see here something that I do want to point out, because we were talking about the stupid uniforms. They do not have consistent pilot uniforms for piloting.
What is this?
Everyone wears whatever the fuck they want, pretty much.
Boy Vanquisher's wearing pudding boy shorts.
What is a pudding boy? I don't get what a pudding boy is. What is a pudding boy? Nico's dead. That killed Nico.
Pudding boy to me is like Paige outfit.
It's the little berries and cream boy.
Oh, berries and cream, berries and cream. I'm a little lad who loves berries and cream.
Yeah, well, a little bit more modern than that. To me, it's like Page Boy, like short shorts with like a tuxedo vest and like a bowl cut.
It's what Lord Farquaad was when he was a child.
Yes, with like the big round lollipops.
Lord Farquaad is the second form. Yeah,
with the big round lollipops and the soda hats. That's a pudding boy.
It's a variant of Little German Boy.
Yes, exactly. Little pudding boy.
And the main important factor in being a little pudding boy is being a fancy little lad.
Yes.
So that's the little shorts.
It's like Venn diagram, pudding boy. Okay, anyway.
No, finish the Venn diagram.
I'm just saying Uni's pilot suit does it for me. I love it. I love a leotard outfit.
Man, can we just skip the rest of this episode? Fuck this guy. Can we just get the Grandiga uniforms?
They then return, having not been able to hold off the Empire to the city.
This is where we first get into the weird pacing shit that this show does.
Yeah, so this whole big fight is happening, and we immediately cut to a beautiful scene of them talking to, we are already retreating.
We lost.
We're
like
retreating.
All pre-battle, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna do it. And then they lost. They don't show you the loss on screen, and they just move on to the next thing. And that is characteristic of this entire show's narrative structure.
This show really also loves to show you the battle map currently, which I personally loved, but everyone is constantly looking at this. How is the war going map?
Me when I'm on the airplane.
Me when I'm in a situation room.
So they have a conversation, and we start to see like, oh, hey, guys, and I'm going to make a statement. War, bad things happen, right? So we start to see, oh, they're injured, they're sick, there's destruction.
What?
But Alice, cool robot. Alice, cool robot. Look at it, cool robot.
We also see how they load Chars, Krars into the units, and how that is the
shit like a 6-gun.
It's damn right they do. Which we find that is like a naturally existing thing on this planet, like. Oh my God, is this a metaphor for any of the things we've exploited? Who knows?
It's uranium. I told you earlier, it's uranium.
So they send
Leave that
out
shit in the ground.
They send out the Knight's Order again to do a delaying action. They can only get to the city via this canyon, so they're going to go stop them from getting through. And if they fail that, they're going to blow it up. We get this whole story. We then get a scene where Yuki gets a message from Joshua saying, hey, everything's going good with the delegation. Thinking about you.
Love, peace.
Love, peace. We then cut to a scene of where we first start to see some of the espionage in this series. We find some...
Oh, this is dope.
Grandiga... What would you call these? Special ops? Infiltrating.
I don't think that these are Grandiga guys. I think that these are betrayers. Because the whole thing later you find out is the guy turned on his own side because he didn't want to lose his city.
Yeah, but
they lose it anyway. And I didn't know if this was he let Grandiga people in the door or if this was he got his own guys to do this.
My read of it is that he let Grandiga in because if he didn't just let Grandiga in, like, what does this do other than just make them lose the way that they already lost? Like, this would have to be Grandiga handling it for his betrayal to make any sense to me.
I guess so. I mean, he's basically just trying to force a surrender as opposed to the
That's
ransack
the important part,
of the
is
city.
that he's betrayed them. This was pretty cool.
I did like it. We also see
detail.
how, like, the Knight's Order is already on top of it, showing that they are competent.
Yeah.
They don't play it out. They just allude to it before a cut to break.
Yeah.
We then go back to
And
Yuki.
I will say, this is our first look at one of the motifs of the show, which is what is the cost of war? And the first time that somebody's like, I'm not willing to pay the cost, we need to stop the war, and being thwarted, which will be a running theme throughout this show.
Oh, yeah.
So
we then get a FaceTime call between Joshua and Yuki, where Yuki is saying, hey, these sunflowers that we were growing aren't doing very well. And they start to talk over it and have a cute...
She's on that 2003 Iraq War Skype.
We have some more long chess.
Yeah, God, it's longer. Is it longer?
It is. We'll put it side by side, but it has grown longer. Where Yuki is talking to Layla about how she helped Joshua, and Layla starts to give her some like hard truths, like that won't really actually work in war. That was a game, Yuki. That was a game you were playing. We then have a meeting between Layla and Izana, where they discuss how Yuki doesn't know what's happening and how they have to protect her smile.
They are straight up gaslight gatekeeping.
They're being incredibly fucking incompetent. This is the stupidest fucking... I keep... This... Every single decision they make to manipulate and lie to her has a direct fucking consequence to their own amount of resources and strategy. They continue to do it.
Which is wild. If she's a figurehead, let her be a figurehead. Why are we doing this footsie shit?
That's what I'm saying, is it's like, if she can really give you the permission to da-da-da-da-da, then she needs to be clued in, because otherwise you are literally just delaying your own fucking... Like, it makes no sense. They're so dumb. Anyway.
I'm going to say
everything that happens
Kingdom
to
deserved
Soul,
it.
they deserve.
Yeah,
Yes!
Kingdom deserved it.
More like suck, Lael.
The official stance of the OSG podcast. We are Grandiga.
We Grandiga stands, and you'll know why when we get to her. So we do get an illusion of how the governor is looking out on his fields that are dying.
Crops are failing. Like, the shit is going bad. Nobody can grow enough food. Which really makes the scene in the beginning where she's accepting her birthday gifts and just casually accepting crates and crates of, like, pears and shit really dire.
Yeah. We then go to a battle plan. We love battle plans. We love our ace combat. Here's where you're going to go pilot moments. Debriefing. They're talking about it. There's a lot of plans in this. And they start to talk about how they're going to do this. They set up an ambush for Grandiga, who is just going to drive down the one path to this city. They start to fight. They're going back and forth. And then we try and have our betrayal by the governor. And you'll never guess it.
Thwarted.
The knights thwarted him and arrested him. We can't let him win. We have to win this war.
We can't let the terrorists win.
And we get his speech of, I just wanted to protect my city. I don't want it to die from war. We see how they're already evacuating the city.
No, we got to talk about the quote. We got to talk about the quote that Harold says.
Give me the quote.
With a mindset so preoccupied with peace, you'll never protect anything. Bro, what? What are you talking about?
I think the context...
Forever war.
Well,
this show is wild. It's just wild. Like, Harold's approach to this whole conflict in particular is kind of baffling throughout. But that quote...
I think Harold is unprofessional, and I don't know. I disagree. I think that quote actually makes sense. I
think it does for
it makes
the
sense
wrong
out of
reasons.
Context. In the context of the thing.
In the context it is.
Yeah.
He makes a good point, but also, like, I mean... The governor's plan was stupid. Let's all just admit it.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it's like
he should have told him, "Oh, they're gonna try and stop you, so just I'll open the gates or some shit." You know, like it was so weird.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This show, it will articulate it completely later, but there's this idea that war has to be fought to the bitter end, and that no one has ever sued for peace, negotiated. Like, come on, man. You can surrender. It's viable.
Oh my God. Well, in the kingdom especially, I'm just like, what are you people doing?
It's like, for our honor. Fuck off.
Yeah. For the smiles.
So how the battle works, we get something very cool, which is these little land catapults. So while they can't fly, they are shooting. So Grandiga has these launching platforms. They shoot the mechs over towards the enemy to close the gap, because they know that they know they're going into an ambush, and
I love this. I think it's
the Empire's placed their
at one point one of the kingdom soldiers is like, damn the Grandiga Empire for using dirty tactics like throwing their mechs,
because they had placed their gunners up on
dude, you could do it too,
up on ridges to shoot down. And so Grandiga, knowing this, has launchers to get to the It's perfect tactics. It's beautiful.
I loved this.
Really well
I
done.
was like hooting and hollering. Grandiga
I just
rules.
loved the outrage from the Kingdom people. How dare you get up on the cliffs? Those are our cliffs. Fuck off.
I want to talk about one thing in this show as we're getting to this. So we're kind of hiding behind piles of rocks and things like that. And I really wish people in this universe knew how to make a tank trap, because everyone's just flying around and zipping. Just throw some metal spikes in the ground, slow people down. Nobody here thinks about defensive fortifications in this universe, which they don't have to be
Alice,
big.
This is the empty field where we fight war.
Well, and also,
Why would
wait, first of all, it's a very tight canyon, but it is an empty tight canyon. To your point.
Where we fight war.
Where we fight war. The other thing is, Alice, they do one defensive maneuver and it gets someone killed. So maybe learn your lesson.
God damn it.
We can never lay traps because
It kills children.
Hey, we haven't gotten there yet. So we then see foot soldiers of the kingdom, which, can we just talk about these?
More terrible outfits. Terrible.
These motherfuckers literally just look like the collectors from Mass Effect 2.
Yep. Hey, but they're
The butt cheeks.
khaki. So they've set up some explosions to fall the walls and stop the Empire, blow the bridge.
Yeah, drop the canyon on them.
Unfortunately, there's a secondary path that's being protected, and oh no, the detonator isn't working. Convenient plot device.
No, I think they turned it off by accident when they turned off the other guys. It's like, shit.
Shit. So
I
the
believe it.
Empire... the Empire has actual tacticians, and so they knew this was there, and so they're going to bum rush it because they now know it's the only way to get through without, having to move a bunch of rock work. One of our twins runs forward, right? No, Joshua runs forward.
Yeah,
Or is it the
Joshua-
twin?
She runs forward initially, and then Joshua has his fucking hero moment trying to, save her, and then she ends up saving him.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
And she saves him. They blow it.
Well.
Well,
They blow it.
this again, the weird fucking timeline of this show.
Okay.
Yeah.
This,
We see Joshua.
I like how
with a
she's
little piece of
blushing.
shrapnel.
Because she's so...
This is the moment where I made the note. Don't let him distract you from the revolution.
Oh my God.
She's like, a boy came to save me in the worst tactical decision ever made.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, comma.
And he catches a little shrapnel.
He catches a little shrapnel. He was aware that this was not going to end well for him, I think.
He wanted when you're in a role-playing group and there comes a time when somebody might need to stay behind and sacrifice and everybody volunteers because they want to be the cool person who sacrifices it. Joshua didn't realize that this was war and you don't respawn. So he went for that hero moment.
Joshua said, Uni, when do I respawn back at camp? Uni, she said, LOL, I love my men stupid.
So this is where I was in. This is where the show sold me.
This is the scene. This is we go back to the kingdom's capital, and Layla comes to find Yuki and is like, you need to come down here. The delegation has come back. And she's like, oh, where's Joshua? And she's like, you just need to come. So they go down and the Knight's Order battleship shows up and it is beat to fucking shit. Just destroyed.
This is what peace looks like.
And as they are going into the ship, they are offloading destroyed mecha. And then as they're walking through, Yuki keeps asking, where's Joshua? And then she sees, the twins and they're like, oh, everybody's very formal with her at this moment. And then they just take this 12-year-old in and they show her Joshua's dead body on a slab.
No!
And her face...
Nico is cackling with delight. I'm so haunted by this. I don't really know what to do with all this that's happening right now.
Sorry. I was astounded by the audacity. My notes here in all caps. Yo, did they kill him off screen?
So you said the last we saw him is he had a piece of metal and he was bleeding, but we haven't seen anybody die. Nowhere in the series.
Yeah, he was being carried out by Uni. He didn't get the rocks collapsed on him.
There haven't been there hasn't been weight to any of the battles. There hasn't been weight to anything that's happening. It's just been fun. We're defeating the bad enemy. And unfortunately, you take shrapnel to the stomach, you might not live.
But like you said, these stakes were not established until right now, and the cognitive dissonance just threw me, and my response to that is to just start laughing because it's wild.
I think that something that this show does both really smartly and really foolishly at times is play with the off-screen space.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when it's done badly, it's done in episode when things happen off screen. This is not one of those times to me. This is a time, I think, when we're really meant to sit from Yuki's point of view and for this to come kind of almost as much of a surprise to her as it does to us. You know, we knew more things than she did, but we did not know that this had happened. And so I think this was kind of a really smart sort of move.
Yes.
And then to this also kind of dodge rolls forward into this episode, into the next episode, which is another really, really good narrative move, I think. It lets this breathe so much. I really liked all of this. Also, yes, justice for Yuki. These people, what the fuck? This is how you find out that everyone's lying to you for the past however long?
With the body of your childhood friend.
Here's the fucking corpse of your boyfriend? What the hell?
Not boyfriend. He was 7 years older. Sorry, 5 years
3
older.
years older.
3?
He's 15.
I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, he was 15.
What I want to point out
soldier moment
in this scene is like it's heavy-handed. I'm not an English major, but you know, we go into this and no one is smiling except for Joshua's corpse, which they've made look very beautiful for Yuki to try and make it easier. They've made him smile. They've given him the stuffed plushie.
Fucked up. Just put the sheet over him, homie.
The animation of Yuki as her face contorts as she comes to, like, she realizes what this is and everybody in this room knows except for her. And then just the blood curdling scream. The voice actress did amazing with this.
This was a very good anime scream to peaceful credits moment, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get an after credits scene.
Sorry I laughed so hard, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I
felt like they should have made his wound more obviously bloody, or had Uni be more
I think it's
stressed.
better. I think it's better this way. I think it works towards the narrative that none of these people are taking war in the right way is, I think, a narrative throughout all this. Is nobody that we meet in our main cast of characters is thinking of war.
Yeah, as seriously as they should. And also,
so we get this after credit scene. Oh,
I did not know about this. What the hell?
Yeah, most of the episodes have after credit scenes. Credits. So we have an after credit scene where
you have to be careful.
We established the Empire has taken over the city. They've arrested the governor. We see, fields of dead being buried in the ground.
Spatula graves.
And we see our first introduction to the other half of this, which is our squad from the Grandia Empire.
Oh, I love these uniforms.
I love the uniforms except for the mini skirt on the one chick.
Love it.
What is going on?
I will not.
You can't take it away from me.
It.
You can't take it away from me.
I love when Alice and Brian are unified against me.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. So we meet our other DILF.
Oh, this is him. Everyone shut the fuck up.
DILF alert. DILF alert. DILF alert.
Oh, my fucking daddy.
Wait until the next episode to Thirst Trap. We just need to wrap this one up.
Okay.
So we meet our team. They're looking at a literal big field of dead soldiers. They're buried, right? But they're looking at their own dead. The Empire made this big deal about one guy dying, and these people are just buried on the field. And then we meet Stella, who is, having a great day. She's smiling. She's vibing. Hi, Stella. Stella is our other main character. So she is our Yuki of the Grandia Empire, and that's how that episode ends. So episode 3, The Smiling Soldier. We start with a kind of a flashback? Flash forward? No, this is a flashback. Where was this battle? I don't remember.
This show is not going to help you. The timing and the location of this show is always all over the place.
Everything is just floating. That is one thing.
There's this beautiful scene where we see that we start with the Empire sacking a city, including just firing mech guns into the air, which, okay, PSA, never shoot a gun into the air because you don't know where the bullet's going to land. Second PSA, don't shoot a mech gun into the air because that bullet is so much bigger. It's a mortar.
Oh my God, yeah.
So we then see this, if you missed the end of the episode, this is your first introduction to our new captain and our soldier, our smiling soldier.
Hamburger Squad.
Hamburger Squad.
No, they're like Brugger Squad or something, but I always thought of them as Hamburger Squad.
We then get another beautiful war map, but this time from the Empire side, showing
It's
how...
better, it's got gradients.
It's got gradients about how they are invading the Kingdom of Soleil, which is, I mean, I want to talk about the world map for 30 hours, but I'm not going to.
That's fair.
But there's not much left in the world, apparently.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because at one point someone says that the two empires share the planet, which means they're the two main powers on Earth. This is the scale
Not
of
Earth.
the war?
Yeah.
Earth 2,
Planetary.
sorry. Earth
So,
2.
I think what they allude
It's
to
funny.
is that this is a failed terraformed planet, and there's only so much viable human-bearing land between the two of them, which is a main driving factor for the Empire
I
invading.
missed this. That's actually really interesting.
They get into it, but a lot of that context kind of comes up. Like, you can see, like, they don't really even use the coast because you can't fish. People don't eat fish here. There's not really grazing.
It was alluded to, well, it wasn't alluded to. I think it was said in the first episode, but you could be forgiven for like not noticing it because there was so much shit going on, that they were at peace and they were cooperating on technological advancements until the accident that happened.
Until
and
space
that is
Chernobyl.
what precipitated the war.
Right. No, that I did know. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it makes more sense when you realize that they're the only two powers on this failing planet, that they would have been cooperating, and that this is a wild like fallout of that happening.
It's resource wars. Guys, resource wars. It's going to happen. Everybody start stockpiling
Start watching
lithium.
The Price of Smiles so you know what to do.
We then see the goldfish orb, which is my favorite character item ever.
Conjured my orb.
Stella carries around an orb with holographic goldfish in it. That's just a thing that she has. That's her I'm not a robot thing. So we meet our squad, and we go through our new squad. We meet Lily.
I give us these? Because I have comments about each one. Okay,
give them to us.
We have Pierce, who is just Connie from Attack on Titan. We have...
I don't know who that is because I only watch good anime.
I'm about to fight Nico tonight.
fuck?
I don't know what. She's like, she's trying to attack me.
Like them Titans.
This is Pierce with the best shaved head in the world.
He's got some style.
We have Officer Break, who's the best one. I love him. He has a pink afro.
Look at him.
And then we have Lily, who is an Alice RPG character.
Yeah.
Lily is the greatest thing in this show, second only to Stella. Lily
I
is
I knew it. I fucking knew that you were gonna love her so much. I was like,
Lily
this is an Alice
is-
character. She's throwing fucking weights around.
In a mini skirt over her
miniskirt.
combat
She
uniform.
is half the size of everybody else. Like, I hate to use the
fully half the
LOLI
size.
word, but that's what she is. Like, it is.
Oh my god.
She is small. She has little hairpins in her hair, but she's also super strong because we have to show that she's not weak. And
Yeah.
there's
She's a magical
other member.
girl.
She's a magical girl, and she just throws a fucking weight. I love her. Then we have Stella.
Can we talk about the best guy? Did you skip Huey?
So here's the thing.
Huey
I don't
hasn't
know
shown
his
up yet.
name. I just know that I want him to impregnate me.
Oh, Huey.
Yeah, Huey.
Oh,
So we
yeah,
have Huey.
Louie. I didn't know if it was Louie, Huey, or Dewey, or what.
Cheatham and Howe. No,
But
this
he's
Huey,
gay. This is
aka
gay.
the walking death flag. He says so much shit that's like, oh, I hope we all survive together.
he says it and then they lampshade it.
He is just, everything he says is,
Every engagement they head into, he's like, I love being 3 days from retirement while the rest of the squad screams. I love him. I will protect him with my life. I want to see him prosper.
we also meet the commander of the
Dad.
group,
Daddy.
Gale. Hi, Gale.
Dilf alert.
I have to take a deep breath.
Brian, I'm going to let you have the floor because I talked about my love of my life, Lily. You can talk about this.
This.
We have Old Snake from Metal Gear Solid 4.
I almost spit out my coffee.
His uniform has palisades. By the way, Grandiga is all doing militant Hatsune Miku cosplay. It is the best possible fucking uniform in all of anime ever. I'm obsessed with it
Oh my
till the
god,
day I
they
die.
are. Oh my god, we've got to get Grandiga uniforms and roll up to a con.
He's extremely put upon Commander Corps. He's very clearly traumatized. But he cares very much about his unit, and
his unit of misfits.
His little unit of misfits. And also he
Hatsune Miku Love is War.
will save orphans.
Yeah.
Number one orphan saver.
I have thoughts about gigantic men that are kind. I'm obsessed with him.
And the thoughts are, please.
So the crew is talking about how their new commander is known for leaving people to die. You know, they try and play into that trope of a squad gets a new commander and the new commander can't be trusted. You know, real tropey. We then learn that this is actually a special operations squad, and they are going on an infiltration mission into the city. So they go in a ice truck, followed by a grab
laundry
carrier.
truck. So importantly to me, it's a laundry truck.
Thank you. We then, the crew is all in casual wear, and they're like, okay, we're going to go in. We know that there is an Empire outpost in the city. We need to scout it out because we learn that the Grandiga Empire is very short on supplies. And so they are trying to raid for supplies here, and they know that the Empire has left supplies here. And this is where we start to see the difference between the Empire and the Kingdom. So they're walking through the Kingdom, and they say they're much more technologically advanced because they have a Starbucks.
Okay, but if you had come from Soviet Russia and walked into any given American mall, or Japanese mall for that matter, where there's like 50 Starbuckses, you would be like, my God, the decadence.
Yeah, I mean, Grandiga's already been shown to be a lot scrappier. Like, the Kingdom has like their big ass like fucking skyscraper carriers that they get to do battle from. Meanwhile, Grandiga has
some cargo containers stuck together.
Break camp 2 battle site cargo containers, and they're living in tents and shit.
We see Lily fangirling over Stella and thinking that she looked cute in very cool outfits, you know, just
super straight things to do.
Normal wife shit.
Super straight things to do. We also we see kind of how the Empire treats Yuki. So they literally just have like rotating billboards of their princess.
She's literally an idol.
She's literally an idol.
Yeah, the Kingdom literally treats her as an idol. And I love that you actually get to see it from the Empire's perspective.
This whole scene.
Which is they're like, what's with this fucking mascot?
I love this whole scene where they're like window shopping through enemy territory. It's so, I just think, really well painted.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And so then they drive to the little base. They use their fake forged IDs to get in. So then they go into a storeroom that's already kind of threadbare and picked over, and there's not much left.
It's so funny because there are a whole bunch of boxes on the shelves and cans.
I know.
And they never stop and go, oh, this is shoe polish, or something to explain why they're not going for this shit. It looks like they're just like...
I had the same thing in my notes. I was like, oh, this literally chock full warehouse is so empty. Yeah.
It's really funny. Yeah, they're just walking through these shelves that are kind of packed, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing in here. It's like,
please put a label that says it's Clorox wipes on the sides of these boxes.
Not to be rude, y'all clearly don't have an infinite budget, so draw less when there's not supposed to be stuff here. Like,
real.
Just draw empty shelves. They then hear a sound. Stella gets ready to pop a cap. We see a kid who is getting 3 cans of cat food.
There's food here.
And then an older gentleman comes and is like, oh, I told you can't steal food when there's an active war going on. And they are like, hey, where's all of the food? And he's basically like, oh, we live here, me and these orphans in this military outpost. And also, like, there's not much food, et cetera, et cetera. And we learn that the Empire, can do some social engineering with orphans. And they get some intel off these orphans pretty fast. We then get this scene where they are playing... Still don't know what they're playing. What are they playing? What is this game?
They're playing Field with some garbage, because later they take the can and play with the can.
Perfect. And we meet, are we calling her Orphan Girl with Doll?
Orphan Girl with Doll.
The haunted doll, very specifically.
So all the kids are playing except for one.
Victorian child doll.
Who's sitting alone on a bench. She looks sad.
This conversation is fucking mind-boggling.
I love this. So Stella goes over to sit with this child after they've shared some canned peaches with the kids. And they have a conversation. And the kid's like, yeah, my parents are dead or missing or gone. And the war sucks, and I'm a war orphan now. She is like, I'm a war orphan.
Stella, she's like, don't worry, you'll find your place someday.
That's what I wrote down too.
You'll find your place. I did.
The gall. I'm just the absolute sack on Stella to sit here and look this child in the eye and be like, chin up, young lady. I may have basically personally killed your parents, probably, but don't worry about it because all we have to do is smile because we're both women.
We're both women.
My skin was blown off my face by this conversation.
Yeah, and then they get some more intel about which warehouse to hit. You then see them. We just quickly show that despite being less technologically advanced, the Empire has like some spy shit that's just like ripping.
Nothing. They have the infiltration kit from Armor Stir.
They are cyberpunk. It's so funny. They're like, wow, we're so technologically behind. My guy, you were out here slicing.
But the little girl gives her some candy, so she must have done something right?
Oh, yeah, which is lie by omission.
So something, the Milsim otaku in this loves that they have like regular check-ins with their base, which is like a normal thing you do. And they're like, oh yeah, we think we found something. We're sending him in. And we see that he goes in and uses some... Hey, remember that one scene in Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket where he is just standing behind a vending machine snooping? Real vibes. And we find out that they're using the new crawlers to grow a lot of cabbage.
Cabbage. Yes.
I missed that it was specifically cabbage. That does actually make it kind of funny for some reason.
It's all just the same fucking vegetable. I'm sure it was like a cost savings on animation, but I was like, we need to devote the entire GDP of our country to cabbage.
Look at how that is like a flat texture on like a... That is so bizarrely drawn.
Cabbage.
So we meet our characters. Our characters all meet up outside of town. They talk about this, and they have to call the big boss, where we meet our main villain, if you think the Empire is a villain, Chief of Staff Fleet. Now, her name is Ein Fleet. Her official title is Chief of Staff. They call her Chief of Staff Fleet.
Ina Fleet is like also a fucking baddie name. This is Olivier Armstrong. This isn't a mistress fucking uniform.
I need to see what Grandiga technology has to offer for the strap.
Yeah, I'm down too. I'm really down.
You know, come to think of it, they do kind of have the Hitachi on the back of their mechs.
So they get an order. You need to go steal the shards and blow up the base. Otherwise, we are just going to send in an artillery brigade and blow it up in 2 hours. So you gotta go. And we learn that Gale has a soft spot for orphans. So he wants to go get the orphans out. So they go in. And I do kind of love how they do some of this, like with the weird time. We just cut to a scene of the entrance to the compound with the guards just shot dead, bleeding against the wall. They're already in.
It's dead.
They're driving in, and here's the outfit I hate more than the Kingdom outfits.
What?
No.
What?
Whips. I will not hear this. We are united against Alice right now. Look at that fucking coat.
This
So they're
blows
wearing
my mind. How do you not like this?
Okay, here's why I don't like this. This is a stealth mission, Snake. Swish, 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 swish as you move in your giant leather overcoat in this stealth-ass mission.
You don't know if it's made out of techwear materials.
You're not moving at a quick speed in a fucking giant overarching...
They've got a leggy out.
It's not for stealth missions. This is the only time we see it, and it's for a stealth mission, and I hate it, okay?
This is anime. We've never cared about any of this. This is the coolest outfit in the entire show.
It's so fucking cool. Every day of my life, that jacket fucks.
I would wear that every day.
So Gale splits up with the team because he has to go do something. The team is instructed that
he has to go do something.
He's got to go do something. Team's like, oh, fuck him. We get these.
I have to go to Home Depot.
Say what you will, this squad is very good at what they do, and they just breach and clear, kill a bunch of people.
I love how much they murder. I'm gonna say it. I love killing. Okay, don't snip that.
They are extremely good at this. They do this pretty much exact operation twice, and it completely murks both times.
Except for, I will say, I did have one problem, and it's the fact that they were up on these giant walkways, and the guards there didn't see them from a mile fucking away.
Yeah.
In the big cabbage room? How did you not notice somebody?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, so We do have to say one thing, which is that at every opportunity, the kingdom is getting their asses fucking whooped. They suck. They're so bad. They lose.
They only
everything.
have technology. That's the only thing they have over the Empire.
Yeah.
The Empire has material, they have size, they have population, and they have tactics. So they go in, start killing people. Gale goes and finds the orphan, is like, hey, we gotta get out of here, orphans. Let's go. They set charges. We learn that lettuce tastes good.
It's cabbage, and he's the king of my heart. He said, yomp.
So then they have to deactivate. They have to deactivate to get out the shards. And then, guards found us. And they're like, hey, what are you doing here, person in an enemy uniform? To which they have been
blap, blap.
completely destroyed by the Empire mechs busting through the wall. There's this wonderful scene where Gale is getting the kids outside and two guards run around the corner and he just one-shots them both in front of the orphans, who are then like, oh, even though you're wearing the Empire's uniform, I am only now cognizant of the fact you are the enemy.
I'm going to marry this man. He is there to protect their lives, not their feelings.
Yes.
I'm going to marry my fiance, not this anime man, just to be clear.
No, we know the truth.
So we have this scene where we have a dichotomy between a quick mech fight between a couple of Empire mechs and a couple of Kingdom mechs. The Empire mechs just clean house easily.
This is also a dope fight, in my opinion. I thought this was,
really
snappy
good.
And
small, quick. Yeah. They're also,
I will say, I know that this is a secure facility with a highly advanced piece of technology, but in the defense of the kingdom, this is Cabbage House. I don't know that they expected to get owned by the elite squad at Cabbage House.
Cabbage House.
If you're not protecting your cabbage house, you deserve to lose the war.
Official OSG stance.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So this scene whips ass.
Yeah.
Stella rules. Stella fucking fucks.
Here is where I've second time fell in love with Stella. So Stella's like, I'm going to go check on the commander because he's not responding. You guys finish up here. She goes out. She sees that the children are literally arguing with Gale and like, no, you need to go away. We hate you. And he's like, you're going to blow up if you don't leave with me right now. And Stella shows up, sees this is happening, and just shoots the ground in front of one of the kids and then points the gun at little girl with a doll. And she's like, well, I'm going to start killing a kid every second you guys don't leave with us because you're going to die anyway. So I might as well shoot you to death.
Oh, God.
And they're like,
cold. She knows exactly what needs to be done here.
Stone cold lover, girl bossing.
This is conflict resolution. I'm obsessed with this moment.
I'm going to start doing this at work meetings.
She realizes that time is not of the time is of the essence. I'm going to these kids are going to die. She's like net zero, like, well, if they're going to die anyway, I can try and save one by forcing them. But if we stay here, more people will die. She's really big about like they're all about lessening the loss of life.
She's doing the math. Like if we want to contrast her with Yuki, who is like struggling and angry about chess and like, ooh, this is just a game. I can do whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. This chick is like, I've already run all the algorithms. I've already done the math. You were already dead.
A guy tries to get a drop on Lily. She kills him. Then gets tackled in the hallway. Great job, Kingdom. That's what you should do. She then just... this is when I fell in love with Lily. She overarm throws this man down to the ground, puts the gun to his head, and just caps him in one shot. No notes.
We are Grandiga stans in this house.
So then they're driving away with the kids. They escape. They blow up the plant. Then they just drop off the kids. The kids are still pissed at them.
In the woods. Just loose in the woods.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, the kingdom's gonna be here in a second. They'll pick you up. Stella tries to have a moment with Orphan Child with the doll, and you'll never guess this, but
Orphan Child with doll, weirdly, more traumatized
and like really hurt by this turn of events, which it takes away Stella's smile.
Just shoot her. Just shoot the doll chick.
So they bring it back, the new Shars, to come back at a later time. We then have this moment where Stella's just out here eating a candy, and Gale comes to talk to her to be like, hey, that kind of sucked, didn't it? Like, are you okay? She's just like, oh yeah, I'm great. It was just another day. She literally says, I can't wait for our next mission. Stella, dead inside.
She has trauma. I love it. She is maladapting. She is girl bossing.
And there is no after credit scene. So we go right into episode 4. Episode 4, The Choice of Hope. Episode names in this are rip shit. So we go to the...
Izana and Harold being extremely fucking married. Historians will say they were good friends.
Talking about how they lost the new Shars and they didn't get the food from there. This alludes to like how food is a really main driving factor of this war, and that growing food with the new Shars is like what they're trying to do and what the Empire kind of wants, as well as other reasons. But they have a moment and then they're like, hey, let's check up on the princess. And so they go and ask her aide, you know, Layla, how's the princess doing? You'll never guess. She's not doing great. She's been having a depression lock in my room since she found out Joshua's dead.
Valid TBH.
God, seeing Harold again after seeing Gale, he just really ain't shit. It's ripped to Harold.
You don't gotta come for him like this. Why are we putting two
I wasn't
bad
gonna
bitches
say it,
against
but
each
Gale
other?
is
Gale
a
is
cut
so
above.
Harold,
A cut above.
Harold, give Harold 20 more years. He will be Gale. Okay? He's maturing. He's in the cast.
He's not, though, because he's part of the core council that makes nothing but shit decisions in this whole show, so.
But at least he has a boyfriend. What is Gale got? A bunch of...
Me! I'm Gale's boyfriend! Anyway.
That's so true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for erasing you.
So we go into Yuki getting out of her depression for a little bit to go tend to her farm, and we get the first instance of people trying to talk to Yuki about how she should care about what's happening in war. Because now, this thing that they've hidden from her, she is now aware of, and they're like, okay, now you have to be a sovereign, right? Like, you have to do this. And a lot of this is between Layla and Yuki.
Why does this child have actual military authority? I mean, she doesn't, but she does. It's so frustrating. Anyway.
And Yuki's like, I want no part of your war. Like, you hid this from me. I don't want this. Valid opinions. We see some cutaway shots about how all of the kingdom is at war, and the war, little surprise, ain't going great for them, for the kingdom.
Then we learn Layla's extremely dark backstory.
Yeah.
So we start to see, oh, you know, we're going to lose this line. There's just a lot of politicking. And then we get
the main thing is they're going to lose the city. And what is the name of this fucking city? It's stupid.
It starts with an H. Harriant.
No, that's the capital. But they're going to lose the city where her parents died.
Leeds or something? Leash. Oh, Leeds. Leeds is in the UK. The UK is not in danger.
Yet. But yeah.
The reason that the city is important is that's where the explosion happened.
Yeah.
That is where the explosion happened. And so we cut to our fun little backstory.
Layla, she was there.
We then see a flashback to what was happening on the day of the event, which is they were promoting the new Shrars and showing them to the world. And we find that, hey, look, here's Layla. She was there at the event too, and was an analyst, is what she says for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She worked on the Krard technology.
And she has a blue-haired child, or had a blue-haired child and blue-haired husband, and the child also had goldfish.
And blue-haired child, goldfish orb.
Goldfish orb. But then, oh my god, terrorists attacked. And so terrorists break in.
They break in, they are yelling, this power does not belong to this world. They are wearing head wraps. It's a little coded.
And we've put bombs everywhere. We're going to blow this up unless you dismantle them. And this is where kind of the relations between the two major factions fell apart. So this was a shared facility, and this was a shared, endeavor. And the Empire, being a military dictatorship, does not negotiate with terrorists. So they try and solve this by force of arms. Mm-hmm. What ends up happening, a bunch of people get shot, and then they blow up the entire building, right?
Yeah. So this is us finding out that what was told to us and Yuki as an accident before was, in fact, an international incident.
Yeah.
And that's what precipitated the war. So, this is that wool being pulled off her eyes.
And Layla's daughter lived and everything was happy.
Well...
No, she was crushed under a rock.
Yeah.
As well as her husband.
We saw the goldfish orb next to the rock, so we know.
Well, yes.
So her family's dead. She wanders out. She gets picked up by an ambulance that Yuki is in.
And immediately trauma bonds with a baby.
Well, she throws herself over it to shield her from the nuclear blast. And then, so she gets taken to the kingdom, finds out that her family is most likely dead. At least they're missing. And then he brings, okay, I have problems with this. So out of everybody that was in this event, she escaped and she like threw herself onto the princess. But then he takes this just random analyst woman to meet the princess that she saved. And the princess
Izana's like, heard you trauma bonded with this baby.
We wanted to show you what you did, which is save this little girl. And the girl's crying, and you'll never guess this, but a woman with big tits will make a baby not cry anymore. And so she uses the power of...
Make me not cry either.
That was what it was. That was what it was for sure. It was the titties.
No, it was because she didn't have a smile. And even Baby Yuki wanted everyone to have a smile.
This kid is toxic.
So then we flash forward, and
what if the kids' vibes were just off?
What if the kids' vibes were just off? We go back, and at this point, she takes Yuki out of the castle in disguise. They have a conversation about like, oh, we always knew you were doing it because you lived a controlled life. Like, we weren't just going to let the princess escape from the castle to go down to the city. We know this is happening. And then they have a conversation about how her parents died, and, we need to protect what they made, which is the kingdom. And so she's like, I'm going to show up and talk to you guys about war for a little bit. And they're evacuating a city, right? Is that what happens in this one?
Yes.
They evacuated a city so fast. They evacuate everyone at hyperspeed. But then they realize...
They evacuate everyone except for the Mujahideen.
Yeah, so they're evacuating and they're like, okay. And so this is where we see what Yuki's main focus is, which I want no one else to die. She says this multiple times. I want no one else to die. And they're like trying to explain, well, that it's war. We can't really that's not how war works. And she's like, I'm telling you as your sovereign, you have to do that. And they're like, all right, 12-year-old who just decided to show up to the war. And then they zoom in and they find...
diehards have stayed behind in the city. They're not going to relinquish their city without a fight. And Yuki said, fuck your values. Get in the minivan. How many people need to die to achieve this?
She's like, you have to go save it. So they peel off a couple of mechs and transports to go get them. These men are going to take on mechs in ground combat as just dudes, I guess, was their plan. Still don't, in the middle of the road.
They knew they were gonna die, yeah.
They want a martyr, and then they show up and they're like, hey, you guys should leave with us. And these diehards decide to change their entire mind because...
Yeah.
I hated this.
Yeah, it was extreme. This whole thing is extremely stupid.
So we had this really long, drawn-out fight, and spoiler, it's the squad from the Empire that we know who is the ones fighting them in this scene.
Our babies, our special little guys, our sweet cheeses, our rotten soldiers.
But what this show does is they really, if they are showing it from the kingdom perspective, the Empire is faceless and in robots, right? Vice versa kind of thing.
I about this for a different episode, but yeah, this is really well done. There's a moment where Connie from Attack on Titan comes out of a crashed mech that actively shocked me, even though I kind of knew what was happening.
So yeah, so they have this little battle and they're trying to get these kids out, but we are once again come to the fact that hey, war is war, and there aren't really hero moments, and so Yuki has to watch as every single mech that they sent to save these civilians is shot down. They're cornered and then blown up.
These are also, if I'm not mistaken, some of the more advanced Krar mechs. So not only is this a strategic loss, this is a loss of technology as well.
Importantly, they also crush them with the memorial, which is just
they literally knocked the memorial down on top of them. It's a real thing that happens.
Yeah.
And
if I ever had to fight a racist, I would want to drag a statue of Robert E. Lee down on her.
True. That's real. That's real.
And then Yuki just starts crying because she's just seen many of her people.
Congratulations, the 12-year-old made a bad strategic call, and you sacrificed 8 of the powerful things for her to learn a redundant lesson about the horrors of war because you already traumatized her last couple episodes.
I get it.
Layla gives her a hug.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I do think, I get it. She's 12. 12-year-olds have to learn lessons 8 or 9 times sometimes.
Like this.
And I get it, and I yes, like this. This is an extremely contrived situation that sucks.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of And also, I think the combat here also was just like really slow and boring and unsatisfying.
Yeah.
But I get that this is part of her arc and this is part of the object and this is the story they're telling. I was still just so fucking annoyed with her that I couldn't stand this.
All of her dialogue during this is like, Ganbate, do your best. You can get out of there. I want everyone to be saved. But it also shows like how this society of the kingdom is so like top down, just like, if they get a command, they'll die for their princess, right? Yeah. And that comes up throughout the series. She has authority and yet
doesn't have authority. It's this weird contradiction that happens throughout the show, but like this is one of the weirder moments.
This is like re-ratified a little bit later when I think Yuki does show that she's learned something from this. But the end of this episode, I was just like, oh my god, can we go back to the characters I like, please?
I think that's really funny you point that out because like, so I tried to do research for this, but spoiler, not a lot of people have done like video essays and articles about this series because it's kind of
breaking ground.
We are breaking ground. But most of the like reviews and conversation around this is people like one of the plot lines. You usually like one of the two, and the way that they mesh together is interesting and a good idea, but it falls flat a lot of the times, and that makes it like not a stellar show, just a good show. Like it's a possibility.
I can see how, like, if you really like one of the plot lines, the other plot line feeling lame makes your plot line seem cooler. Whereas if your plot line was the entire show, it might not actually be able to stand on its own.
The next episode, which we'll talk about next time, is or not next episode, the next couple episodes do kind of paint a picture that really turns it around for me. But yeah, I felt this episode was the weakest out of the stretch that I watched.
Yeah.
I liked it, but it took a long... The lesson that Yuki learns in this did not need to be this drawn out, and there was really no weight to it because you've already seen them abandon many cities, right? Like, this isn't the first time, and so it's very odd. And then the next episode preview is just showing how, you know, the people in the kingdom are, like, really just beaten up. They learned, you know, hey, we've lost another city, and our mechs are fucked up, and this war is not going good for us. And that's how we end it. And we're going to stop at episode 4 because we're at the 2-hour mark. But yeah, so that's the first 4 episodes. So unfortunately, we can't rate these fucking mechs yet because we don't know where they go. So from here, we are just going to jump into our next break and then head into the rest of it. Hey guys, Alice here. So On the Shoulders of Giants is a brand new podcast. We're still getting ourselves started. So if you like what you're hearing and kind of want to hear more of it, maybe leave a 5-star review on your podcasting app of choice, especially if you're on Apple, because that would really help us out. And if you know anybody who might like mechs, point them in our direction. We'd love to hear from them and, you know, maybe they'll like what we're giving out there. Again, if you like us, leave us a note, send us a message, leave us a review. Just, you know, interact with us. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, let's go back to the episode. Welcome back from the break. It's time to play a game. This game is called What's in a Name? So we are going to play a game where, how much do you guys pay attention to the character names in this show? There's a pretty diverse
I paid a lot of attention because I kept having to say Isana every time.
I have great news. I paid very little attention. I was very busy staring at certain attributes of people. So
Dilf alert.
Me too.
I was reading those subtitles on that 2x speed.
there's like a shift material underneath the Grandigan armor that you can tell is skin tight. That was what I was worried about.
Woo! Let's do it.
I was too focused on Lily's mini skirt. So what we're going to do is this is kind of a variation on the game that I usually run for you guys, which is I am going to give you a first name. I'm then going to give you 3 last names that this character might have. You are going to tell me which of those 3 names is the character's actual last name. All right? Does that make sense? We'll go back and forth. There's a chance to steal. Simple enough.
I'm in.
So roll of the dice. Brian goes first. And we're just going to just jump right in it. Yuki, is her last name Sakura, Salil, or Skides?
Okay, it's not Skides. I'm not that stupid.
Skides. Can you have like shoujo sound effects when I said that?
I don't know what a shoujo sound effect is. I know what the screen tone looks like.
You
but
know
I
when they
can't
like
do that
are
in
looking at each
audio.
other and slowly moving with like bubbles in the background? That kind of. I'll find you sound.
That's a visual.
I'll find you some sound. Anyway, Brian, what's your
I'm torn because what was the first option?
Sakura?
Okay. You kind of stumped me because, like, I feel like Soleil is a trick. I feel like that's the most obvious answer, and I don't know if that's true. But then also, for her name to be Snow Cherry Blossom and for her to wear a pink and white dress all the time is a lot for me, personally.
To be clear, her name is spelled Yuuki.
Oh, it is?
Oh, so it's courage.
It's courage. It is.
Yeah, Yuki.
My completely legitimate normal subs that were not fan subs or pirated spelled it with one, but I totally
I'm
get
sorry.
it.
Her official name is Yuuki or Courage.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yuki.
Courage, Cherry Blossom is not. That's too anime.
She's the Empire of Japan.
I'm gonna say Soleil.
That is correct.
That makes sense.
It is a monarchy, and she is named after the monarchy.
Yeah.
Nico.
Yes.
Stella. Is her last name Shining, Stellar, or Bright?
Shining, Stellar, or Bright. I think my subtitles may have been different. Shit.
I don't know this one.
Because I thought it was Sterling.
Stella Sterling.
Okay, what are the options one more time?
Is it Shining, Stellar, Bright, or Sterling?
Well, I'm going to say Shining.
Her last name is Shining. Stella Shining.
Yeah.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue. I like Stella Bright more, personally.
Yeah.
Alice, you should name more anime women.
Look,
saying many such cases.
People need to talk to me about this. Brian, Gale, the commander, your boy.
Did you pay enough attention to know what surname you're taking?
Keen listeners will know that I was muttering earlier in this episode about how I, in fact, did not know Gale's first name until we started recording because I was busy, okay?
What were you busy focusing on instead of the name?
I don't want to talk
Was it
about
that skin type bodysuit?
It might have been.
Okay. Is Gale's last name Martin, Owens, or Johnson?
I'm just going to say what I want it to be and say Owens because that's like the least offensive to me out of them.
Gale Owens is his full name.
Gale
I need his last
Johnson.
name to be Johnson.
Also,
He's got a
boy,
Gale
give me that
Johnson for you.
Johnson.
Also, real ones know that it's actually Waters.
Nico.
Yes.
So Layla, who is the mentor mommy, is her last name Baptiste, Etole, or Lapointe?
Know this one. Shit. I'm going to say LaPointe.
Brian, would you like to steal? Your options are Baptiste and Etole.
Ouch.
I want it to be Baptiste, but I think it's Etole.
It's Etole. Brian steals that one.
I remembered it like the moment after you said it again. I was like, ah.
I intentionally did a bad read of the French accent to fuck with you.
Alice is out to kill me.
Brian, Joshua. Is Joshua's last name Ingram, Severin, or Laurent?
It's Ingram, and I know this because Pat Lieber.
Thank you, Pat Lieber.
Thank you, Pat Lieber. Thank you, Mamoru Oshii.
Thank you, Daddy Yoshi. Okay, Nico, back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Lily. Is Lily's last name Becker, Earhart, or Wolf?
Shit, I don't know this one either. Ah!
Fuck, I don't know any of these, bro.
That's why I did this one. They almost never tell you their last names.
Give them to me one more time.
Becker, Earhart, and Wolf.
I'm going to say Becker.
Brian, you have a chance to steal. Your choices are Earhart and Wolf.
Earhart?
Correct? Lily
Dang,
Earhart.
nice.
Back to you, Brian. Brake, your pink-haired boy. Is Brake's last name Klein, Thomas, or Boyer?
I thought Brake was his last name because he's Officer Brake. Oh, no.
No, they all go by their first name. They go rank and then first name.
Because they're homies.
Because they're homies.
And
Brake, what were the options?
Klein, Thomas, and Boyer.
Klein? Klein sounds right. Damn.
Nico, you have a chance to steal. What is Brake's last name? Thomas or Boyer?
Thomas? Oh.
His name is Brake Boyer.
I like that more than Brake Thomas. God.
I do like the idea of a name being a command. Brake Thomas.
So we go back to Nico. Nico, Izana, the Prime Minister boy, our little cutesy, is his last name Lambert, Leandre, or Langford?
I think it's Langford.
You're correct. It's Langford.
Yeah. I'm here for one beautiful man.
He's so gorgeous, you guys.
He's obscene.
I'm
His
into
wife
it.
does not look like she's from the same universe. I respect her because I respect women, but what happened?
Can't wait until we get to his wife and his kid. I have a lot of thoughts on that sequence of events. Going back to Brian. Brian, Harold, the leader of the Order of the Knights, is his last name Millard, Matthew, or Gillard?
I think it's... Oh, God. I thought I was going to know this one, and then you gave me 3 options that didn't sound... None of them sound right. I'm going to say Matthew?
That's wrong.
Fuck.
Nico, you have a chance to steal. Is it Millard or Gillard?
It's Langford because he's married. I'm kidding.
You know he's on his taking his last name. Let's be honest, who's the top in that situation?
You don't know.
Or the Uke? Did I say that right, Fujoshis?
Seam and Uke.
Okay, I think it's
Seam.
I'm gonna go with Millard because I hate it.
You're correct. Harold Millard is his name.
Take his last name.
When I die in
Jesus.
combat or nearly die in combat trying to avenge my wife, they call it the Millard reaction.
This is a bad joke.
You said good wrong.
Nico.
Yeah.
Huey, named after one of the best helicopters.
My man.
Is his last name Stein, Malthus, or Otto?
This anime be given these boys names that God did not come up with. Stein?
That is wrong. Brian, you have a chance to steal. Is it Malthus or Otto?
I want to say Otto because Malthus is a fucking Gundam-ass name, and I feel like I would have remembered that.
Matthias. It's the Matthias Gundam. You are also wrong. His last name is Malthus. Huey Malthus.
Okay, so this guy just belongs in Gundam.
Huey Malthus.
He is gay enough.
His last name to me is Potatoes, and Brian will learn why. Okay.
Brian, Pierce, the guy with the X-shaved head. Is Pierce's last name Thomas, Johnston, or Arnold?
Arnold?
That is wrong. Nico, you have a chance to steal. Is it Thomas or Johnston?
Don't fail me now, Thomas.
It is Thomas.
Yeah!
Pierce
now
Thomas.
we have the command, Pierce Thomas.
All right. Nico, back to you.
Yep.
So this is actually a bonus and is worth 2 points as it's our last question.
That's powerful.
Uni and Rune. Is their last name Rout, Triumph, or Vanquish?
I would like it to be known that I never stopped respecting a queen, and Miss Vanquish, I'm free on Thursday. Their last name is Vanquish.
That is correct. Their last name is literally Vanquish.
Yes.
So with Nico with 6 points and Brian with 4, Nico wins.
But it was an honorable combat. It was really close.
So yeah, great game. I do want to say one thing, which I will now reveal my hand at the end of this. So
I can see both your hands on cam.
I forgot I was on camera. I legitimately forgot that this was happening. So all of the characters that we meet from Grandiga Empire have German-orientated last names that have an origin in German language. And all of the Salil Kingdom have French in origin last names. So
damn,
I wanted to throw that out there.
Really makes you think.
Yeah.
I love Girls und Panzer.
Oh, guys, sorry. I'm getting a FaceTime call on my giant iPad from the front.
You're getting a Skype from 2003 Iraq.
Getting a Skype from 2003 Iraq on my Spate. It's also, my tablet is powered by Krars as well. but it's on the new cars, so it like is more powerful.
I can't believe you've done this.
Unfortunately, I've got to go fight this war. Brian, could you read this message we just received?
See, if Alice doesn't read it, there's no way she can die.
Oh my God. That's crazy. I can't believe Alice is about to retire. I can't believe Alice is 3 days away from retirement.
From the podcast.
Dear OSG, my parents died in the sacking of a city, and I started living with some guy in an old office building. All I have left is a haunted Victorian doll. I recently had a run-in with the savage animals who stripped me of my former life. Traumatized children always talk like this, don't worry about it. And I'm afraid I overreacted when I found out they were not a laundry service and couldn't clean my doll's dress, which inexplicably gets dirty every night at 3:12 a.m. OSG, am I capable of forgiveness? Or, as seems normal in this world, should I just wait like a year until I'm just allowed to commit atrocities and climb into a Thayer gear to perpetuate the cycle of violence?
I realized we haven't. First off, thank you for writing. I realized we haven't said that the official in-canon name is Thayer gear for the mechs. Until this exact
Nico.
moment.
I've destroyed Nico.
I don't know what to say to her.
I mean, first off, burn that doll. I'm just going to say.
No, she can't. She's spirit bonded with it now. You have to learn how to pilot a mech, and the doll has to come with you.
You said that so seriously. I'm dying.
Talking to this orphan child. You need to pilot a mech.
I'm spiritually communicating with her. She's real now. I've created her as like a tulpa. Okay, you need to put it in the mech. And what that's going to do is, in a moment where you're about to get Joshua Ingram'd, the doll will take over. It's all going to be worth it. Just hang on.
I think something that would be a really good idea for you to try is just be around the action, right? Like, I think the best place for children to be is kind of generally in the vicinity of an active warfare zone. And you should make no efforts, and the people who are protecting you should make no efforts to get you out of the way of harm. Very important.
Alice said the children yearn for the front lines.
The children yearn for the trench lines. I'm going to say revenge has never gone wrong, and revenge has always worked. So I think you should really take these feelings in your heart and channel that into revenge. And I really still think you should burn the doll. I don't think that's normal. Brian, what do you think about this?
I think you should. I'm going to split the difference in the middle. I think you should perpetuate the cycle of violence and get into a mech. I think you should burn the doll. That thing is unholy.
She can help you.
Don't say it like that.
The dummy plug is not ideal. But also, this just will not. You are an anime. This will not work unless you don a mask to symbolize your crusade for revenge.
You're gonna have her burn a doll and put a mask on.
Do you think like this mask should be like just covering her eyes, and perhaps like she should have like a signature color to go with this?
Probably, yeah.
I think like what would be a good color for a Victorian doll mech?
Probably red.
Red.
Yeah. This is all coming together. Well, I think that's perfect advice.
Don't burn the doll. You have to keep the doll.
Don't listen. Look, I'm going to shoot one doll every second you don't get in the mech. Because the dolls are going to be burned anyway.
The dolls are already dead.
The dolls are already dead. So that's our advice. Tell us how it goes. Maybe circle back and like after a time skip where we show that time has passed, but war is still going on, and we'll check in on this. So that's our episode of On the Shoulders of Giants, where we discussed the first 4 episodes of Price of Smiles. Any parting thoughts or things that we didn't get to that you guys had thoughts on these episodes?
If Stella aimed a gun at me, I would simply get in her car.
Gail, I've quit my job. I am on call 24/7 in case Gail ever decides to text me. I am doing nothing but sitting in an empty room staring at my phone waiting for Gail to message me on Facebook Messenger or on Grindr.
Gail doesn't have his face in the pic, does he?
Is Grindr powered by Kraras in this universe? Okay. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be covering the rest of this series over a couple of different parts, so look out for it in your feed. Pilots, remember you can reach out for advice from the team at our email, questions@osgpod.com. Non-pilots can send general questions and feedback to the same address. You can also catch up with us on social media. Links are in the description for updates and more. Make sure to check back in 2 weeks when we'll be discussing Promare. I don't know, maybe we'll just talk to Gale for a while. Like
Brian's DMs.
Until then, goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye. I love you.